What do you get when you combine cutesy voxel graphics, survival crafting, space, and a form of factory automation game? Well, you get Astroneer, I think. Is it a carefully crafted, pun intended, title that leads you on your way to fun and plucky crafting glory, or will it make you want to pull the oxygen hose off your spacesuit so that you can asphyxiate slowly in your own personal misery? Watch on and find out. My name is Thoraxe, and this is Strategy for Busy People. If you've got a few minutes, I'll tell you what to play. If you have been watching this channel for a while, you already know that we have a passion for space stuff and a passion for survival crafting games. Astroneer by System-Era Softworks was an opportunity for me to put 5 hours into figuring out if I would like a mashup of the two. And I have to say, it didn't turn out so well. First things first, and you have heard me say this about games before, the game is cute. The voxel art combined with the sound effects and some of the UI elements and the way that everything comes together really does make for a cute game. But honestly, that's pretty much the only redeeming quality. It was all downhill from there for me. Okay, look, I understand the very first thing you are shown in a new adventure game is a series of panels with keyboard keys, and maybe I should have paid attention to them more. But no one pays attention to those kinds of things. System-Era, you should know better. One of the first missions is to deploy an oxygen tether, but you are essentially given 0 instructions on how to do that. It just so happens that there is a keyboard shortcut, T, to do this. But I'll be damned if I didn't have to search the internet to figure this out, despite also having the key binding settings available. It didn't get much better. The first few missions are all about getting the fundamentals of your space base set up. You have to generate some power and make some oxygen and deploy a printer so that you can print a bigger printer that eventually can print an even bigger printer. Some of these things and progressions are well thought out, but none of them are particularly self-explanatory, and it's maddening. The game doesn't clearly tell you that certain things need to sit on top of platforms, and that you then have to connect power cables to the platforms. It's unclear what the overall power production system situation is. Things get blinky, which I think that means there's not enough power, but there's no clear warning. The fundamental task in this game is, unsurprisingly for a survival crafting game, gathering resources. The first two resources, compound and resin, are distributed on the surface and are easy enough to find. Sometimes. The RNG in this game is pretty rough. It's unclear whether resources are always in the same places or whether the planets are always the same, but you definitely don't get to the same starting position. I ended up restarting because I wanted to give a different attempt at doing things. And I got deployed somewhere where I basically could not find any compound, which is essential for the early printing items. So I restarted again, and then couldn't find resin nearby. Or I fell into a crevasse and died. Either way, it was bad. You can pick up certain items to get research points, which are then used to unlock new printables via this thing that isn't your backpack. Navigating through the list of researchables to find the one you want is awful. I was trying to click things here and there before I realized that I could use the WASD keys to quote-unquote navigate through the stuff, and even then it was a fecal performance. Damn, dudes. Oh, and apparently the research machine can eat research things if you place them on the platform to the side of the research machine, but the game for sure will not tell you that. You get more research points, albeit more slowly, by feeding research stuff to the research machine compared to when you research it manually, but manual research is nearly instant. But the game doesn't tell you this either. I don't need to be spoon-fed, but things should be emergent and mostly obvious, and well, they're just not. Next up on the list was laterite, which gets refined into aluminum, but the game doesn't tell you where to find it, not even so much as a hint. Like maybe look in caves? Which I found out I should do online. Except I had to look in several tutorials before I realized that you had to use the terrain tool to literally dig into the core of the planet in order to get to the right cave level to find it. So I did that. And then found a huge drop-off, which ultimately I fell into and died. And so I dug several tunnels in vain attempts at trying to get into the crust to then explore for laterite, which I still couldn't find. It was only after a few researches and much dumb luck that I found any laterite. And then I had to find lithium and copper, which I still hadn't seen. F this, I'm done. Before I give my final verdict, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share with your friends. Agree with me? Disagree with me? Or want to see other content? Let me know in the comments below. Want to try this game yourself? Check out my humble affiliate link below. And if you want to support me in making more of these videos, become a patron on Patreon. Your support really makes a difference. The final verdict. I really wanted to like this game. Come on, it was space and survival crafting, two of my favorites. But the lack of direction, the constant need to look things up in wikis, the weird RNG, the frustrating camera situation when spelunking in the caves, the maddening interface, it was all just too much for me. On my trademarked 3-point score scale of avoid, meh, and I forgot to eat, I tried my best, but after multiple attempts and nearly 5 hours of my life that I will never recover, I failed to do much of anything. So I went and made some space jam. See what I did there?